In this video, we'll be taking a look at 3 college football games happening on September 23, 2023, and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games. So 2 picks for each game, 6 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released, so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 3 college football games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start. If you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below, where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. Texas versus Baylor. This Saturday night Big 12 matchup features the number 3 Texas Longhorns traveling to take on the Baylor Bears at home. Texas took care of business last week with their 31-10 win at home against Wyoming and will now set their sights on the Bears. Baylor got their first win of the season at home against Long Island last week and will look to possibly upset Texas this game. This will be the Big 12 opener for both teams. Texas is riding high after beating Alabama, followed by a late charge to beat a tougher than expected Wyoming team last week. Baylor, on the other hand, is off to a disastrous start. Not only did they lose their opener at home to Texas State, they lost their quarterback in the process. Blake Shapen has missed the 2 games since then, and he is expected to miss the game against Texas as well. The backup quarterback situation for the Bears has been unimpressive. Baylor's offensive identity is all about running the football anyway, but without a legitimate threat to throw, the Longhorns' impressive front 7 can gang up on the run without many worries. Baylor's defense has a chance to keep this game close, but that is a lot of pressure to put on one side of the ball, especially against an offense that is proven incompetent like Texas. This Baylor team has struggled so far, with their only win coming against Long Island. The most apparent problem with the Bears is their lack of a passing attack. While running the ball is great, odds are the Bears are going to be playing from behind the sticks and will need to throw the ball pretty often. Texas has one of the top defenses in the country, and simply running the ball will not be enough to overtake them. Meanwhile, the Longhorns tend to rely on the run game themselves on offense, but have shown they can throw the ball as well. With their win over Alabama, Sawyer Robertson hasn't impressed thus far. Back in Week 2, Baylor lost to Utah 20-13, and Robertson was picked off twice. The Bears will have to lean on their ground game when they take on the Longhorns, who are surrendering only 96.3 rushing yards per game and 2.9 yards per carry. The Longhorns survived the Wyoming game and will play better in this one on the road. I'm expecting the Longhorns' defensive line to make a difference and shut down the Bears' rushing. The Bears haven't covered in 5 straight outings and are 1-3-1 against the spread in their previous 5 showings at home. The Longhorns, who are 3-3 against the spread in their last 6 games overall, have beaten the number in 3 straight outings on the road. The Texas Longhorns have shown a balanced attack through 3 games, and their defense has passed the test up to this point. The Baylor Bears lost to Texas State and didn't exactly blow the doors off the way they should. Baylor still has issues finishing drives offensively, and its defense is 107th against the run. Not ideal going up this Texas offensive line that can open things up. In terms of trends, Baylor is 0-2-1 against the spread so far this season, and I do not see that changing this game. Again, big line, but I think we see the Longhorns air the ball out early, build a comfortable lead, then rely on the run game to close the game out. This pick is short and simple. If Shapen is missing, fade the Bears. I think this is going to be a long day for the Bears, so the Texas Longhorns to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. Texas will score their fair share of points this game and move the ball downfield well, but we can't say the same for Baylor. Baylor is a very run-heavy team themselves, but playing from behind and having to chase Texas will force them to throw the ball, which they have struggled with so far this season. Expect Baylor's offense to stall out frequently, settle for field goals in the red zone, and turn the ball over often as they are forced to put it in the air. In terms of trends, Texas has gone under in 2 of their first 3 games, while Baylor has also gone under in 2 of their first 3 games. In addition, when these teams have faced off in the past, they have gone under in 9 of their past 10 matchups overall. The total has gone under in each but one of the last 10 encounters between Texas and Baylor, and I would follow this betting trend. The Bears will struggle to move the ball against the Longhorns. On the other side, Texas should rush a lot and eat the clock, as Baylor allows just 163.7 passing yards per game in 2023. The Longhorns have only allowed 44 points through the first 3 weeks of the season. The under is 3-1 in their last 4 games overall, and 3 of those 4 tilts have produced 47 or fewer points in total. Simply put, these are 2 teams that love to run the ball. Running the ball obviously chews up a lot of clock, so when both teams are doing so, it makes it very difficult to achieve a total in the 50s. Under the projected total is our full game total pick. UAB versus Georgia. The number 1 ranked Georgia Bulldogs are back in action on Saturday night as they host the UAB Blazers. The Bulldogs are 3-0 on the season and 1-0 in the Southeastern Conference, while UAB of the American Athletic Conference is 1-2 on the season. These two foes last met in 2021 when Georgia rolled to a 56-7 win. The UAB Blazers hit the road looking to get on track after a pair of losses on the road against Georgia Southern and at home against Louisiana. Trying to get on track against the number 1 team in the country isn't likely to end well. The Blazers were beaten by 14 in Statesboro by the Eagles and dusted by 20 at home against the Ragin' Cajuns, so UAB fans and alumni have to shudder about what's going to happen in Athens, especially against a Georgia team which was sluggish against South Carolina and looking to break back out. Defense has been an issue for UAB, allowing 90 combined points in those losses, and its only win is a 35-6 victory against North Carolina and T of the football championship subdivision back on August 31st. The Georgia Bulldogs pounded Tennessee Martin and Ball State over the first 2 weekends before the 24-14 win over South Carolina. They have allowed just 24 total points in the 3 games, and the Blazers are unlikely to cobble much offense together. Georgia, on the other hand, should find plenty of open spaces to get their offense on track. They averaged 46.5 points per game in the first 2 outings against inferior opponents, a tag which certainly applies to UAB. Realistically, there's pretty much no chance of the Bulldogs losing this game, hence the crazy thick line. The only question will be margin of victory. Georgia controlled overmatched defenses pretty well without too much effort in their first 2 games, and this matchup will probably be on that level. Last weekend versus South Carolina, Georgia got off to a slow start but eventually found their rhythm in the second half. The Bulldogs weren't great on 3rd downs, but statistically there weren't a ton of glaring mistakes. I expect Georgia to get into the 50s, as it is angry after a subpar showing in the conference opener, while UAB could be held in single digits. It's risky laying a giant number like this, but UAB has been really bad. Georgia should be able to sharpen up this week and take care of business at home against UAB. So the Georgia Bulldogs to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. Just as Georgia has not been a good bet on the spread, they are 0-3 in terms of hitting the over-under this season. That's because their offense has not been as potent as it has been in the past few years. But in this game, I think they actually hit the over, as UAB is one of the worst in the country against the run, and Edwards and co should run wild in this one, putting up close to 50 points. The difference here is I think UAB scores maybe once in this game, whereas Georgia gave up 256 passing yards against their first real opponent, South Carolina, last week. With UAB hitting the mid to high teens, it pushes this game past the total. Over the projected total is our full game total pick. Iowa versus Penn State. Penn State hosts Iowa for a Big Ten matchup on Saturday, September 23rd. The Nittany Lions have already defeated Illinois this season in their conference opener. Penn State has a 3-0 record and is ranked inside the top 10 in the latest poll. Their defense and offense have played well over the past few weeks. Iowa comes into this game ranked 2. They are playing in their first conference game of the season as they are motivated for wins to quality for the conference championship game out of the West Division. After winning their first 3 games and covering in 2 of them, the Iowa Hawkeyes will start conference play in one of the most hostile environments in all of college football, under the lights in Happy Valley during Penn State's infamous whiteout. The Hawkeyes come into this contest after a 41-point performance against Western Michigan, but there is reason to think they will struggle offensively against a Penn State defense that ranks 6th in opponent adjusted efficiency and 12th in unadjusted points per drive allowed. Iowa is currently 85th in offensive expected points added according to CFB graphs and 112th in offensive success rate, while sitting outside the top 90 in opponent adjusted offensive efficiency. Furthermore, the Hawkeyes will be without as much as 40% of their offensive production on Saturday night, including their leading receiver and tight end Luke Lachey, and 2 of their top 3 rushers. That leaves them with just 1 running back that has logged at least 10 carries this season and 1 pass catcher that has pulled in more than 5 passes. Playing behind a solid offensive line, quarterback Cade McNamara has been under pressure on less than 30% of his dropbacks, but Penn State's defensive front is one of the nation's best and should get to McNamara, who completes less than 50% of his passes when pressured. The Nittany Lions have been very successful on the offensive side of the ball this season, with a top 25 rating in opponent-adjusted offensive efficiency. Quarterback Drew Aller has been as good as advertised, passing for 737 yards and 4 touchdowns with 0 interceptions and a 67% completion percentage. Furthermore, Aller leads the country in PFF's passing grade when under pressure, which is a good trait to have against an Iowa defense. The Hawkeyes are known for being a bruising defensive bunch and have started the season with top 10 ratings in most defensive efficiency metrics. However, I am not sure they will continue the success they had in years past in conference play this season. The Hawkeyes lost just over 50% of their defensive production from last year, including key contributors like Jack Campbell and Lucas Van Ness. Furthermore, they have not been truly tested by an opponent that ranks in the top half of the country offensively to this point. Penn State's defense came to play in their game against Illinois. They did not give Illinois a single iota of hope in the first Big Ten game of the season. The Nittany Lions forced 5 turnovers as they continue to show that they are one of the dominant figures in college football. The offense is starting to move in the right direction too. The run game ranks inside the top 25 in yards accumulated. They will have a tough test against Iowa's great defense, but there is one thing that Penn State has, and that is a smart decision-making quarterback. Aller has yet to throw an interception through 3 games, and he is completing 67% of his passes. He will be able to get around this Iowa defense. As for Iowa's offense, they are heavily dominated by the run too, but Penn State ranks 34th in the country in rush yards allowed per game. The Hawkeyes are going to have a tough game on their hands, especially if they need McNamara to make big throws. He has struggled in this offense this year as he has thrown 3 touchdowns, and he has completed just a shade over 50% of his throws. I don't see Iowa competing in this game at all. With multiple defense leaders being replaced and an inefficient offense missing some of its top contributors, I have a hard time seeing Iowa keeping this game within the number, especially in such a daunting environment. So the Penn State Nittany Lions to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. This matchup between Iowa and Penn State has one of the lowest posted totals of the week, and it makes sense because of the excellence of both defenses as well as the inefficiency of Iowa's offense. Penn State and Iowa are both currently top 10 in opponent-adjusted defensive efficiency, while the Hawkeyes rank outside the top 90 on the offensive side of the ball. Furthermore, they have the 91st ranked rush rate over expected according to CFB graphs, are bottom 30 in seconds per play, averaging 29.1 seconds in between offensive snaps. This is a low total, but Iowa scored just 24 points against Utah State and 20 against rival Iowa State. Those teams are not nearly as good defensively as Penn State. They are still going to grind it out even with a quarterback like McNamara, who has had some success in the Big Ten. Iowa also has an outstanding defense that has held their opponents to just 37 points in 3 games, so Aller will also have his issues after struggling against Illinois in his last game. Last season, they shut out Kentucky and held 4 straight Big Ten opponents to an average of 9 points until they allowed Nebraska to score 24. Iowa's slow and deliberate pace mixed with its inefficiency is a bad combination against a tenacious Penn State defense playing under the lights during a whiteout, and sets the Hawkeyes up for a low-scoring output. On the other side of the ball, I am not convinced Iowa will produce defensively like it did in previous years, but I trust the Hawkeyes to do enough to prevent Penn State from surpassing this total on its own. Under the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed. Subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.